Hello and welcome back to the Bloom and Beyond podcast. Since we are inching toward mid-January, I want to do a check-in. And I am referring to those goals or resolutions that you might have made to start the new year. Because by this point in January, the energy feels a little different. The excitement of January 1st has usually settled. The motivation has softened a bit. Real life has stepped back in. Routines are back. Responsibilities are back. And for many people, that list of New Year's resolutions already feels heavy, a bit distant, or maybe it's even forgotten. So I want to ask, how are your New Year's intentions going? And wherever you are with that answer, I want you to know that there's no judgment here. Most New Year's resolutions don't actually last very long. Many people abandon them within the first few weeks of January, right about where we are now. And that's not because people don't care. It's not because they lack discipline or motivation. It's usually because they tried to change everything all at once. We set goals during a burst of motivation, often without considering the reality of our lives. We're tired, we're stressed, and we're navigating a lot, emotionally, mentally, and physically. And then we layer unrealistic expectations on top of that. When those expectations become too heavy, something has to give. And too often, we turn that disappointment inward, and it's just easier to go back to our old behaviors, attitudes, and routines. So this year, I had a realization about this. When January 1st arrived, I knew very clearly that I wasn't going to be able to change everything all at once. And actually, I didn't want to. I knew that I needed to make changes about nutrition and movement especially. For me, I tend to get off track with those two parts of my life throughout the holiday season. But I knew that I didn't want to overhaul my entire life overnight because I knew I was setting myself up for failure. I didn't want a long list of what I should do, and I didn't want my goals to feel like another source of pressure or self-criticism. That was how I operated in the past, and it never worked for me. What I wanted instead was change that felt sustainable and change that felt realistic. So instead of asking myself, what do I need to fix? I asked, what do I want to gently shift? And that question alone changed everything. Because real change rarely happens through force. It happens through consistency, through small daily choices, and through some imperfection. Because some days I'm just not going to do everything right. So many resolutions are built around extremes. And that was how I normally operated. Eat perfectly, work out every single day, completely change your routine, become a new version of yourself overnight. But life doesn't work that way, and neither do our bodies, our nervous systems, or our emotional capacity, especially in midlife. Trying to change everything at once can be incredibly overwhelming. And when overwhelm sets in, motivation drops, guilt creeps in, and people often quit entirely. Not because they don't want to change, but because their system is overloaded. That has been my experience personally, and I don't want to repeat that pattern. What tends to work better is small, consistent shifts. Not, I'm going to eat perfectly, but I'm going to focus on one nourishing choice a day. And not, I'm going to work out every day, but I'm going to move my body most days in ways that feel supportive. Not, I need to be more social all the time, but I'm going to reach out to one person this week. Not, I need to reinvent myself, but I'm going to try one new thing this month. Small, doable, sustainable. These are the changes that actually stick. This year, beyond gradual change, I realized something else mattered deeply to me. I wanted my focus to be on happiness. That may sound simple, but it felt intentional and it's very important to me. The world feels heavy right now. There's a lot of division, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of stress that we carry even without realizing it. And I didn't want my goals to add to that weight. I wanted them to support me and to steady me, to help me feel more grounded as I move through the year. Because I know when I nourish my body properly, when I move my body daily, when I get enough rest, manage my stress, and have some social connection, I feel better in every way. I'm happy when I feel stronger and healthier. Choosing happiness doesn't mean pretending that things aren't hard. It doesn't mean ignoring reality. And it definitely doesn't mean forcing positivity. For me, happiness this year looks like protecting my peace. It looks like asking, what actually brings me joy? What drains me unnecessarily? What can I let go of? What do I need more of? And what do I need less of? Sometimes happiness looks like rest. Sometimes it looks like boundaries. Sometimes it looks like laughter. And sometimes it looks like simply giving yourself permission to move at your own pace. So instead of resolutions for 2026, I've been thinking of in terms of focus. A focus on consistency, progress, and happiness. That shift alone has felt incredibly freeing. I have not been perfect since January 1st. I've not gone cold turkey with the extra treats. I mean, because when there are still some holiday treats around the house, I may indulge a little bit. However, I haven't indulged like I did through the end of 2025. I have cut back and I've been more intentional about what I'm putting into my body. This is progress. It's gradual, and that is what helps build consistency. If I would have said I had to change everything all at once, I would have already failed and felt bad about myself. I need to be positive, not perfect. So, if your New Year's resolution hasn't stuck so far, I want to say this clearly, you didn't fail. More often than not, the goal just didn't fit the season of life that you're in right now. And the answer isn't to quit altogether, it's to scale it down. One habit, one small change, one intentional choice. You don't need to restart January. You don't need to get back on track. You can simply adjust. So as we move through the rest of this month, I want to leave you with a few questions to reflect on. How are your New Year's intentions going right now, honestly? Did you try to change too much at once? What's one small shift that you could focus on this week? And what would it look like to choose happiness just a little more often this year? Not someday. Not when everything is perfect, but now. If January isn't going the way you imagine, that's okay. You're human and you still have so much time. Change doesn't need a dramatic start date. It just needs consistency and compassion. In the next podcast episode, I'm going to discuss building healthy habits and how to stick with them. If this is something that's interfering in your learning more about you, please be sure to tune in. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to share it with someone who might need a gentler January reminder. And as always, I'll see you next time on Bloom and Beyond.